In a quiet village nestled beside a dense forest and a flowing river, there lived a poor woodcutter named Herodotus. From sunrise to sunset, he worked tirelessly, cutting wood in the forest and carrying heavy bundles back to the village to sell. The money he earned was barely enough to feed his family, but he never complained. It was not beautiful, nor was it rare, but to him, it was everything. Without it, he could not work, and without work, he could not provide for those who depended on him. He reached the bank of the river, where tall trees stood close together, their roots drinking from the flowing water. It was a peaceful place, with birds singing softly and the river moving in a calm, endless rhythm. He chose a sturdy tree near the edge of the water and began to work. Swing after swing, his axe struck the wood with practiced precision. Sweat gathered on his brow, and his arms grew heavy, but he continued without pause. This was his life, and he accepted it fully. Then, in a moment that felt both small and devastating, his grip slipped. The axe flew from his hands, spinning once in the air before falling into the river with a dull splash. For a second, Herodotus stood frozen, as if the world itself had stopped. Then panic rushed through him. He dropped to his knees by the water, reaching desperately into the river. But it was too deep, and the current too strong. The axe was gone. A silence fell around him, heavier than any burden he had ever carried. Herodotus sat by the riverbank, his head in his hands, and for the first time in many years, he felt truly helpless. Without his axe, he could not cut wood. Without wood, he could not earn money. And without money, his family would suffer. The thought of returning home empty-handed filled him with quiet despair. He did not shout or curse. He did not blame the river or his fate. He simply sat there, his heart heavy, his mind searching for a way forward where none seemed to exist. As his sorrow deepened, something strange began to happen. The surface of the river shimmered, not with the reflection of the sky, but with a soft, glowing light. Slowly, from the depths of the water, a figure emerged. It was a divine presence, calm and radiant, with eyes that seemed to see not just the world, but the truth within it. The figure spoke gently, asking Herodotus why he was so troubled. With respect and humility, Herodotus explained what had happened. He told of his axe, of how it had slipped from his hands, and of how its loss would affect his life. He did not exaggerate his suffering, nor did he try to gain sympathy. He simply spoke the truth as it was. The divine figure listened quietly, then disappeared beneath the water. Moments later, it rose again, holding a magnificent axe made entirely of gold. It gleamed in the sunlight, its surface flawless, its beauty beyond anything Herodotus had ever seen. The figure asked him if this was his axe. For a brief moment, Herodotus stared at it. The thought crossed his mind, quick and tempting. If he said yes, his life would change instantly. He would never have to struggle again. His family would be safe. Hunger and hardship would disappear. But just as quickly as the thought came, it passed. He shook his head and said, with quiet honesty, that it was not his. The figure disappeared once more and returned with a second axe, this one made of shining silver. It too was beautiful, valuable beyond measure. Again, the question was asked, and again, Heridas refused. He did not hesitate this time. He simply said that the silver axe was not his, that he could not claim what did not belong to him, no matter how much he needed it. For a third time, the figure descended into the river. When it returned, it held a simple, worn axe, the very one Heridas had lost. Its wooden handle was familiar. Its blade marked with the signs of years of labor. Heridas's face softened with relief. Yes, he said, that was his axe. There was no excitement in his voice, no sense of victory, only gratitude. It was not wealth he had regained, but the ability to continue his life with dignity. The divine figure smiled. It had seen the truth in Heridas, not just in his words, but in his choices. As a reward for his honesty, the figure gave him not only his own axe, but also the golden and silver ones. It was a gift, not for his need, but for his integrity. Heridas was overwhelmed. He bowed deeply, his eyes filled with emotion, not because of the wealth now in his hands, but because his simple honesty had been seen and valued. He returned home that day with more than he had ever imagined possible. His family was astonished, and soon the story spread throughout the village. His story became more than just a tale of reward. It became a reminder that honesty is not proven when it is easy, but when it is difficult. That the true test of a person's character is not what they say, but what they choose when no one is watching. And that sometimes, the greatest rewards come not from seeking gain, but from refusing to take what is not rightfully ours. In a world where quick riches can tempt even the strongest hearts, the story of the honest woodcutter lives on, simple yet powerful, like the man himself, a quiet testament to the enduring value of truth. People spoke of the golden axe, of the miracle by the river, and of the reward that had come so suddenly. But not everyone understood the lesson behind it. Another woodcutter, hearing the story, became filled not with admiration, but with envy. He saw only the reward, not the honesty that had earned it. The next day, he went to the same river and deliberately threw his axe into the water. Then he sat down and pretended to weep. As before, the divine figure appeared and asked what troubled him. The man told the same story, hoping for the same outcome. The figure returned with a golden axe and asked if it was his. Without hesitation, the man said yes. In that moment, the truth was clear. The figure's expression changed. There was no anger, only disappointment. The golden axe disappeared, and the man's own axe was not returned. He was left with nothing, not even what he had started with. He had lost not only his tool, but his chance. Heridas, on the other hand, continued his life with the same humility as before. Though he now possessed wealth, he did not let it change who he was. He worked less, but he helped more. He remembered the feeling of loss by the river, and the quiet strength it had taken to choose truth over temptation.